across cylinder, but said I didn't know why anybody would want to. Since then, I have been informed by several of you there are many delightful uses for such wonderful accomplishments as cylinder donation. So, to make up for last time, I have a list somewhere of uses for cylinders. I may look like I'm in a terribly bad habit of jamming junk in my pockets. There's good reasons for that. True. All right, I put it on a blue piece of paper so it'll be fine. Now hear this, the uses for cylinders, including but not limited to cups, bowls, plates, tubes, gun barrels, regular barrels, baskets, telescopes, cans, trash cans, jars, tree stumps, lampshades, blanket rolls, dismembered snakes, telephone poles, green beans, top hats, spools of thread, pillars, aerosol cans, tires, wheels, coins, logs, sticks, markers, pens, pencils, missiles, rockets, and daffodils. Some might say the list is infinite. I would not, some might. I thought perhaps to save myself trouble in future family nights, I could go ahead and make a disclaimer this time about how any or all of what I'm about to say may or may not be partially or completely inaccurate. But I thought I would set the wrong tone, so I'm not going to say that. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm sorry. Okay, so in your program it said the title is Color Three Things. That's not the title. The title's a lot longer. I didn't put it in because it didn't fit. Okay, the full title is, I wrote it on the same piece of paper so I wouldn't have to try to locate another one. Color, three things everyone should know, being a brief synopsis of various phenomenon and or principles behind the origin, theory, and usage of color, but not necessarily those which are the most basic or important, but which could be of some use in some situations. So there's the full thing. Okay. So, three things everybody should know about color. Thing number one, where color comes from. Back in the 11th century, there was a debate between two Middle Eastern philosophers about whether color exists in a pitch black room. The one said, yeah, you just can't see it. And the other said, no, it doesn't, because color comes from light. The second guy was right, color comes from light. So the way it works is, light comes down from the sun, and it strikes an object. Okay, freeze that thought. It doesn't have to be the sun, it could be another light source, like a flashlight. And it might not be coming down, it might be going up. Okay, strikes an object. Some of the light is absorbed by the object. Some of it bounces off. The light that's bouncing off, it goes to your eyes and determines what you see. Actually, it's receptors inside your eyes that determine what you see. You get that idea, hopefully. Okay, when all of the light bounces off, you see white. When none of it bounces off, all of it's absorbed, you see black. So technically then black is not a color because it's an absence of light. However, it could be argued that black is representative of a certain amount of light, none, and that if you didn't have light at all, you couldn't very well have an absence. Yeah, no. Black is technically not a color. So that's the first thing you should know. Color comes from light. Second thing, so let's go to the third thing. The third thing is how to spell color. Okay, so you put that on the ground. Okay, the British spell color like so. The American way is thusly. Okay, direct your attention, if you please, to the letter U. That's the difference between the two. Okay, if you're American, and most if not all of you are, do not spell color. Letter U. Okay. U is a fantastic letter, and it would be very difficult for most Americans to live without, since it occupies a very prominent position in two of our most popular words, and But it doesn't belong in color. Okay, that's the third thing. Okay, number two is what are the primary colors? Don't show them yet. What are the primary colors? So primary colors are your most basic or foundational colors from which you get all the rest of them. Okay, so it's estimated there are over 16 million colors, but you can make all of those from just a couple colors. Okay, so you go way back through history, and the ancient philosophers seem to typically say there were 4 4 primary colors: black, white, red, and they didn't actually agree on 4th. One guy said it was green, another guy said that's yellow, another guy said it's yellowish green, except he might have meant yellowish orange. There's a bit of a translation issue. Yeah. Okay, Plato said the 4th color was radiance, by which he meant sort of a glowing, shimmering essence. It's unclear how he thought painters were supposed to take this aura and mix paint with it. It's one of those delightful mysteries of history. Okay, a few hundred years later, Aristotle comes along and he says, 4 primary colors, stuff and nonsense. And this isn't a direct quote. There are only 2 primary colors, black and white. Again, a little unclear how you're supposed to make black and white paint and mix all of the colors. I didn't actually try it, so I can't rest for sure, but I just assumed. Okay, you keep going through history and people kept debating and arguing about which are the primary colors and how many primary colors there are. Some people said 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One guy even said there were 12. Today, there are 3 sets of primary colors. Okay, now you can show.
Any particular order?
You can just flip those ones up. The other way. Yellow goes on top. Okay, this one here, these are your primary for light. So inside your eyes, you have sensors, 3 sensors. One that receives red light, one that receives blue light, one that receives green light. I have these sensors too, it's not just you. And with those 3 sensors, combinations of those 3 colors of light, you can see all the colors, unless you're colorblind, in which case one of those 3 sensors is not functioning at maximum capacity. Okay, so this is for light, but it's not for paint, because if you take green paint, red paint, and blue paint and try to mix all the others, it's not going to work. All right, so light works very different from pigment or from paint. And the reason for that is kind of complicated, so I'm just not going to say it. All right, here's where these 2 come in. These are your painting primaries. Okay, so you have red, yellow, and blue, which most people know as the primaries. And you also have magenta, cyan, and yellow, which are technically more correct and are what color printers use. But if you're using oil paints, they work equally well, for whatever reason. All right, so those are the 3 things you need to know. Color comes from light, it's spelled without a U, and there are 3 sets of primary or basic colors. So maybe some of you already knew all those pieces of information. If you do, I congratulate you on having a well-informed mind. If you hadn't already known all that stuff I just told you, well, you heard it now, so you also have a well-informed mind. Looks like we're in good company. Thanks very much. Fairly well.